Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that often tells us to be tough, to push through, to hustle. And yet, at the same time, it encourages us to hold on to every feeling, to let our emotions dictate our actions. But here's the problem. Not all feelings serve us. There are feelings that push us forward, like passion, love, and drive. And then there are feelings that hold us back, fear, doubt, insecurity. These are what I call weak feelings, not because they make us weak, but because they weaken our ability to do the things we're capable of. Let me ask you, how many times have you wanted to take a risk but didn't because of fear? How often have you second guessed yourself when deep down you knew exactly what needed to be done? See, weak feelings are like bad advisors. They sound logical, they feel real, but they rarely lead us in the right direction. And the worst part, if we listen to them long enough, they become our reality. Now, I'm not saying emotions are bad. I'm saying we have to choose which ones to listen to. Fear will always be there, but courage is the decision to act despite it. Doubt will creep in, but confidence is built when we show up again and again. We all experience a wide range of emotions every single day. Some of these emotions lift us up, inspire us, and push us to be better. Others weigh us down, create doubt, and make us hesitate when we should act. The truth is, not all feelings serve us. And recognizing which ones help us versus which ones hold us back is one of the most important skills we can develop. Consider the emotions that fuel progress. Passion, determination, love, and drive. These feelings give us energy, a sense of purpose, and the ability to persevere even when things get tough. When you're passionate about something, you don't need external motivation to push you forward. The excitement you feel about a project, a goal, or a dream is enough to keep you going despite the difficulties. Determination works the same way. It allows you to push past obstacles because you believe that what you're working toward is worth the effort. On the other hand, there are emotions that do the opposite. Fear, doubt, insecurity, and hesitation act like roadblocks preventing us from taking action. These feelings weaken our ability to make decisions, move forward, and take risks that are necessary for growth. They convince us that we are not ready, that we are not capable, or that failure would be too painful to endure. And the worst part, these emotions feel so real in the moment that we mistake them for truth. Think about the last time you hesitated before taking a big step. Maybe it was applying for a job, starting a business, speaking up in a meeting, or making an important decision. What stopped you? Was it logic? Or was it the feeling of self-doubt creeping in, whispering that you might fail or that you weren't good enough? The reality is, most of the time, it's not our actual ability that holds us back. It's the feelings we allow to control us. But here's something powerful to understand. Feelings are not facts. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean there's actual danger. Just because you feel insecure doesn't mean you are not capable. Just because you doubt yourself doesn't mean others do. Emotions are temporary and they can be challenged, changed, and redirected. When we allow weak feelings to take control, we don't just hold ourselves back from opportunities, we start reinforcing a negative cycle. The more we hesitate, the more we validate our fears. The more we listen to our insecurities, the stronger they become. The more we avoid taking risks, the less we believe we can handle challenges. This cycle continues until we become trapped in a mindset that says, I can't. The good news is that the opposite is also true. When we choose to act despite fear, we prove to ourselves that fear doesn't have to control us. When we take action even while doubting ourselves, we build confidence through experience. When we stop listening to our insecurities and start moving forward, we break the cycle of hesitation and replace it with one of progress. Think about a time when you pushed past fear and did something anyway. Maybe it was speaking in front of a crowd even though your hands were shaking. Maybe it was applying for a job you weren't sure you'd get. Maybe it was starting a business even though you had no guarantee of success. How did you feel afterward? Chances are, even if the result wasn't perfect, you felt a sense of accomplishment. That's because the act of overcoming hesitation strengthens us. The key is to become aware of the feelings that serve us and the ones that don't. Passion, that's useful. Fear, it's a signal, but it shouldn't be a decision maker. Determination, that helps. Doubt, it's normal, but it shouldn't stop you. Every emotion serves a purpose, but not all emotions should be in charge of our actions. The next time you find yourself hesitating, ask yourself, is this feeling pushing me forward or holding me back? If it's holding you back, it's time to challenge it. Weak feelings weaken our ability to take action, but only if we let them. We often assume that our emotions and thoughts are reliable guides in decision making. After all, if we feel something deeply, doesn't that mean it's real? The problem is that not all feelings serve us, and some are actively working against us. Fear, doubt, insecurity, and hesitation often present themselves as rational thoughts, but in reality, they are just bad advisors. They whisper concerns that sound logical, but in truth, they rarely lead us toward growth, progress, or success. Think about the last time you wanted to take a risk. Maybe it was speaking in a meeting, applying for a promotion, or pursuing a dream you've had for years. What stopped you? You probably had thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts feel like they're protecting you from danger, but what they're really doing is keeping you stuck. Imagine if you had a business mentor who only ever pointed out the worst case scenarios. Every time you proposed an idea, they'd say, that's too risky. What if it doesn't work? You should probably wait until you're better prepared. If they constantly discouraged you, would you keep taking their advice? Probably not. You would recognize that while they might mean well, their perspective is too negative and cautious to help you succeed. Yet, we don't question our own inner voices when they say the same things. We believe them without hesitation. We let them dictate our actions and decisions. The fear of failure, the worry of what others might think, the doubt about our abilities. These thoughts feel valid because they come from within. But just because a thought comes from our mind doesn't mean it's true. Weak feelings act as barriers. They prevent us from stepping into opportunities, learning through experience, and becoming stronger. When we listen to them, we don't just stay in our comfort zones, we reinforce the belief that we belong in our comfort zones. The more we hesitate, the more we convince ourselves that we're not ready, not capable, not worthy. And the more we believe that, the harder it becomes to break free. The key is to recognize that weak feelings, no matter how real they seem, are often misleading. Fear, for example, is designed to protect us from real danger, things like physical harm or life-threatening situations. But in modern life, fear often gets triggered by things that are uncomfortable but not actually dangerous, like public speaking, trying something new, or taking a big step in our careers. The same biological response that kept our ancestors safe from predators is now preventing us from sending an important email or voicing our opinion in a room full of people. Doubt is another deceptive feeling. It makes us question our abilities, even when we're fully capable. Think about how often you've doubted yourself in the past, only to later realize that you were more than prepared for the challenge. The first time you tried something difficult, you probably weren't 100% confident. But once you did it, you gain proof that you could. The problem is that if you listen to doubt before taking action, you never give yourself the chance to see what you're truly capable of. Then there's insecurity, the voice that says, what will people think? What if they judge me? This feeling convinces us that others are constantly evaluating us, waiting for us to fail. But the reality is, most people are too focused on their own lives to spend much time judging us. And even if they do, their opinions don't change our abilities, potential, or worth. Letting insecurity dictate our choices is like handing over control of our lives to people who don't matter. So what can we do about these weak feelings? First, we have to recognize them for what they are. Bad advisors. The moment we start questioning their accuracy, we weaken their hold on us. The next time fear tells you not to try something, ask yourself, is this a real danger or just discomfort? When doubt says you're not ready, ask, do I really need more preparation or am I just scared to start? When insecurity warns you about what others might think, remind yourself, their opinions don't define my success. Second, we have to act in spite of these feelings. The biggest mistake people make is waiting until they feel confident before taking action. But confidence doesn't come first, action does. We build confidence by proving to ourselves over and over again that we can do the things we once thought we couldn't. If we wait for fear, doubt, and insecurity to disappear, we'll be waiting forever. Ultimately, weak feelings are just that, weak. They have no real power unless we give it to them. When we stop listening to them, we take back control. And when we take back control, we step into the opportunities, challenges, and successes that were waiting for us all along. Every day, we experience a mix of emotions, some that push us forward and others that hold us back. The challenge is that we often give equal weight to all emotions, believing that if we feel something deeply, it must be true. But that's not the case. Feelings come and go, and not all of them are reliable. This is why we must learn to choose which emotions to listen to and which ones to ignore. Fear, doubt, and insecurity will always exist. They are part of the human experience. The mistake people make is believing that they must eliminate these emotions before taking action. They wait to feel fearless before stepping forward. They wait to feel completely confident before trying something new. But that moment never comes. Fear doesn't disappear on its own. Doubt doesn't suddenly vanish. Confidence isn't something we get before we act. It's something we build through action. Think about a time when you did something despite feeling afraid. Maybe it was speaking in public, taking a big career step, or starting something new. At the moment, you probably felt nervous, but once you took action, the fear started to fade. That's because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. If we let fear stop us, we never get to experience what's on the other side of it. Doubt works the same way. It creeps in, making us question whether we're good enough, whether we're ready, whether we'll succeed. But here's the truth. Everyone who has ever achieved something great started with doubt. No one begins their journey feeling 100% sure of themselves. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the absence of doubt, it's the ability to act in spite of it. When we take action, we prove to ourselves that doubt was just an illusion. We realize that we can handle challenges, that we are capable, and that we do have what it takes. But we never discover this if we let doubt hold us back. Then there's insecurity, the voice that tells us, what will people think? What if I fail in front of everyone? It's one of the most common fears, and yet it's one of the most irrational. The reality is that most people are too busy thinking about their own lives to spend much time judging ours. Even if they do, their opinions don't change what we're capable of. Successful people don't let the fear of judgment dictate their actions. They understand that the only opinions that truly matter are their own, and those of the people who support them. So how do we take control of our emotions? How do we stop letting fear, doubt, and insecurity lead the way? First, we have to become aware of them. When these emotions show up, we need to recognize them for what they are, temporary feelings, not absolute truths. Instead of automatically believing them, we can step back and ask, is this feeling helping me or holding me back? If it's holding us back, we need to challenge it. Second, we need to reframe our thinking. Instead of saying, I'm afraid, so I shouldn't do this, we can say, I'm afraid because this matters to me. Instead of saying, I'm not ready, we can say, I'm preparing. The words we use shape our reality. If we shift our language, we shift our mindset. Third, we must act despite our feelings. The best way to weaken fear and doubt is to take action. Every time we move forward despite hesitation, we send a message to ourselves that we are in control, not our emotions. The more we act, the less power fear and doubt have over us. Finally, we must surround ourselves with people who reinforce our belief in ourselves. Weak feelings thrive in isolation. But when we have people who encourage us, push us, and remind us of our strengths, it becomes easier to move past self-doubt. Confidence is often borrowed before it is built. When we spend time with those who believe in us, we start to believe in ourselves. At the end of the day, we can't control which emotions show up, but we can control which ones we listen to. Fear, doubt, and insecurity will always be there, but they don't have to lead the way. We get to choose whether we let them stop us or whether we move forward anyway. And when we choose courage over fear, action over doubt, and belief over insecurity, we open the door to a life of limitless possibilities. The words we use shape the way we see ourselves in the world around us. Our internal dialogue has the power to either lift us up or hold us back. Most of the time, we don't even realize how much influence our words have. We speak to ourselves in a way we would never speak to a friend, constantly reinforcing fear, doubt, and hesitation without questioning whether those words are true. The reality is, if we change the way we talk to ourselves, we can change the way we experience life. One of the biggest problems is that we often use language that limits us. We say things like, "I'm not ready," "I'm not good enough," or "I can't do this." These phrases feel like harmless thoughts, but they actually create mental barriers. When we repeatedly tell ourselves that we are not ready, our brain accepts that as a fact. It doesn't question it. It simply says, okay, we're not ready. And as a result, we hesitate. The longer we hesitate, the more we reinforce the belief that we are not ready, creating a cycle of inaction. But what if we shifted the language? Instead of saying, "I'm not ready," we say, "I'm preparing." This simple change transforms the way we view ourselves. "I'm not ready" suggests a fixed state, something we can't change. But "I'm preparing" reminds us that readiness is a process and we are actively moving toward it. It shifts our mindset from one of helplessness to one of progress. Another common phrase that holds us back is, "I'm afraid." Fear is natural. It's part of the human experience and it's never going to disappear completely. The problem is, when we tell ourselves, "I'm afraid," we often use it as a reason to stop. We treat fear as a stop sign, something that means we should turn back. But fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that we are stepping into something important. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid," we can say, "This matters to me." Think about it. If you didn't care about something, you wouldn't feel fear around it. The fear of public speaking, it comes from wanting to communicate effectively. The fear of failing in business, it comes from wanting to succeed. The fear of rejection, it comes from valuing connection. In every case, fear exists because something is meaningful to us. So rather than treating fear as a warning to retreat, we can use it as a reminder of what we truly care about. Doubt is another emotion that often gets reinforced by our words. Many people say, "I don't think I can do this," without even questioning whether that belief is accurate. But the truth is, doubt is rarely based on reality. It's based on a lack of experience. When we haven't done something before, it's easy to assume we can't do it. But every skill, every success, and every accomplishment starts with someone who had no experience. Instead of saying, "I don't think I can do this," we can say, "I haven't done this yet." That single word "yet" changes everything. It reminds us that just because we haven't done something before doesn't mean we can't learn. It leaves room for growth. Insecurity often shows up in the way we talk about ourselves. Phrases like, "I'm not good at this," or "I don't belong here," reinforce feelings of inadequacy. But these thoughts are not facts. They are stories we tell ourselves. If we change the story, we change the outcome. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," we can say, "I'm learning." Instead of saying, "I don't belong here," we can say, "I'm growing into this space." One of the most powerful ways to shift our language is through intentional self-talk. Imagine if instead of speaking to yourself with doubt and hesitation, you spoke with encouragement. What if every time fear crept in, you reminded yourself that fear means growth? What if every time you felt insecure, you reminded yourself that learning is part of the process? The way we speak to ourselves determines how we show up in the world. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing language that empowers us rather than limits us. The words we use either strengthen us or weaken us. They either push us forward or hold us back. And the best part, we have control over them. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm not ready," change it to "I'm preparing." When you feel afraid, Remind yourself, this matters to me. When doubt creeps in, say, I haven't done this yet. These small shifts in language create big shifts in mindset. And when our mindset changes, our actions follow. At the end of the day, the words we use shape our reality. If we want to change our lives, we have to start by changing our words. We often assume that action follows confidence, that we need to feel ready, strong, or certain before we take a step forward. But the truth is, confidence is not something we wait for. It is something we build. If we sit around waiting to feel confident before we take action, we will be waiting forever. Confidence is not the starting point of success. It is the result of pushing forward despite uncertainty, fear, and doubt. Think about any skill you have mastered in your life. Whether it was learning to ride a bike, drive a car, or speak in public, you probably didn't feel confident the first time you tried it. You might have been nervous, hesitant, or even convinced you would fail. But what happened? You did it anyway. You took action despite the fear. And over time, as you repeated the action, your confidence grew. This is how confidence works in every area of life. It is developed through action, not before it. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to feel confident before they take action. They think, once I feel ready, I'll start. But this mindset keeps them stuck. Readiness is an illusion. There is no moment when fear completely disappears, no switch that suddenly makes us feel 100% sure of ourselves. The only way to become ready is to start before we feel ready. The only way to become confident is to take action before we feel confident. The reason action builds confidence is simple. Action creates results, and results give us proof. When we take action, we collect evidence that we are capable. We learn that we can handle challenges, that we can figure things out, and that we are stronger than we thought. Without action, all we have are our fears and doubts. But when we act, we replace those doubts with real experiences that prove we are capable. Consider someone who wants to start a business but hesitates because they don't feel confident enough. They might spend months or even years researching, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment. But confidence doesn't come from reading about business strategies. It comes from actually starting, making mistakes, and learning along the way. The same applies to speaking in public, pursuing a career goal, or taking on any challenge. The first step is always uncomfortable, but with each step forward, confidence grows. This is why the most successful people in the world are not necessarily the most talented, the smartest, or the ones with the best resources. They are simply the ones who took action despite fear. They understood that hesitation only keeps them stuck, while action leads to growth. They didn't wait for permission, certainty, or confidence. They created confidence by doing the thing they were afraid of. One of the best ways to develop confidence is through something called the courage, action, confident loop. It works like this. First, you need the courage to take action. This is the hardest part because it requires you to step outside your comfort zone. Once you take action, you gain experience, and that experience leads to confidence. The more you repeat this process, the more confident you become. For example, imagine you are terrified of public speaking. If you avoid it, your fear grows stronger. But if you push yourself to speak in front of a small group, you gain experience. Maybe your voice shakes, maybe you make mistakes, but you survived. The next time you do it, it's slightly easier. After a few more times, you realize you are capable. And suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes something you can do with confidence. Another way to build confidence through action is by embracing small wins. You don't have to take massive, overwhelming steps all at once. Confidence is built in small moments. Choosing to speak up in a meeting, making a decision without second-guessing yourself, or taking the first step toward a goal. Each small action adds up, reinforcing the belief that you are capable. It's also important to reframe failure. Many people fear taking action because they associate failure with defeat. But failure is not the opposite of confidence, it is part of building it. Every successful person has failed multiple times. The difference is that they didn't let failure stop them. They used it as feedback. They saw each failure as a lesson, an opportunity to improve. The more we fail and learn, the more confident we become because we realize failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. Ultimately, confidence is not something given to us, it is something we earn through action. The more we step forward, the more proof we gather that we are capable, and the more proof we gather, the stronger our confidence becomes. So, if you're waiting to feel confident before you act, stop waiting. Take action first, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't feel ready. Because the truth is, confidence doesn't create action, action creates confidence. Growth and success don't come from comfort. They come from challenge, discomfort, and stepping into the unknown. Yet so many people live their lives avoiding discomfort, choosing the easy path because it feels safe. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect circumstances before taking action. But that moment never comes. The truth is, if we want to achieve anything meaningful, we have to embrace discomfort and push through the difficult moments. Discomfort is not a sign that we are on the wrong path, it is proof that we are growing. Every time we step outside our comfort zone, we force ourselves to adapt, learn, and improve. Think about the first time you did anything difficult. Maybe it was learning to ride a bike, speaking in front of a crowd, or starting a new job. At first, it felt awkward. It was uncomfortable. You doubted yourself. But over time, what once felt impossible became second nature. That's the power of pushing through discomfort. The problem is, most people avoid discomfort at all costs. They take the easy road, even when they know the harder path is the one that will lead to growth. They avoid difficult conversations, new challenges, and anything that feels uncertain. But avoiding discomfort doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us stuck. It stops us from growing, from learning, and from becoming the best version of ourselves. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common: they were willing to endure discomfort. They weren't born fearless or naturally confident. They faced the same doubts, fears, and challenges as everyone else. The difference? They pushed through. They acted despite the discomfort. They understood that discomfort is temporary, but growth is permanent. The reality is the path to success is never smooth. There will be moments of fear, failure, and frustration. There will be times when you want to quit. But those are the moments that define you. If you push through them, you come out stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. If you let them stop you, you remain exactly where you are. One of the best ways to embrace discomfort is by changing how we see it. Instead of seeing discomfort as something negative, we can see it as a sign that we are moving in the right direction. The moment we feel uncomfortable is the moment we know we are challenging ourselves. That means growth is happening. Instead of avoiding that feeling, we should welcome it. Think about athletes training for competition. They don't get stronger by lifting weights that are easy. They grow by pushing their limits, by lifting weights that challenge them. The same principle applies to life. If we only do what feels easy, we never grow. If we push through the hard moments, we get stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for future challenges. Another way to get comfortable with discomfort is by taking small, consistent steps outside of our comfort zone. We don't have to jump into the deep end all at once. Growth happens in stages. If speaking in front of a crowd terrifies you, start by speaking in front of a small group. If starting a business seems overwhelming, start by taking one small step each day. The more we expose ourselves to discomfort in controlled ways, the more resilient we become. Over time, what once felt difficult starts to feel normal. Failure is a big part of this process. Many people avoid discomfort because they fear failure. But failure is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Failure is just feedback. It's a sign that you tried, that you took a risk, and that you are one step closer to figuring things out. Every successful person has failed more times than they can count. The difference is they didn't stop. They learned, adapted, and kept moving forward. The most important thing to remember is this: discomfort is temporary, but the rewards of pushing through it last forever. When you face a challenge, remind yourself that the discomfort won't last. The fear, the doubt, the struggle, it will pass, but the strength, confidence, and growth you gain from pushing through, that stays with you. So the next time you feel uncomfortable, don't retreat. Lean into it. Push forward. Remind yourself that this is how growth happens. Every great achievement, every success story, every personal breakthrough was built on a foundation of discomfort. And the more we embrace it, the more unstoppable we become.